Amber Heard, I'm still here. A couple of years ago, many people were fixated on the trial that took place between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Amber Heard claimed that she was a victim of domestic abuse. Johnny Depp claimed that he'd been defamed. The resultant trial was televised and not only provided me with a wealth of material to analyse with regard to both of the personalities of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, it also enabled us to be entertained by some of the things that Amber Heard said, her bizarre "my dog stepped on a bee" and subsequent facial expressions, which I explained in a video as to why she did that, the relevant experts that appeared, the celebrities that were made of some of the lawyers that were involved as well, and of course the aftermath of what happened in relation to the judgment that was handed down. After that, Johnny Depp vindicated, victorious with regard to the outcome of the trial, and also having roundly won on social media, despite certain dissenting voices, looked to piece his life back together again, having found that certain opportunities in the film world having been denied to him. He got on with matters, going back to acting, and also undertook a tour with the band that he played in and enjoying the adoration and support of his various fans. Amber Heard still had her supporters. There were those that would not accept the evidence. There were those that still maintained that Depp was the abuser. And we saw that the battle that had raged on social media continued to periodically burst into life again in places such as what was Twitter. But what became of Amber Heard? Well, if you haven't watched my excellent analysis of her, I'd encourage you to do so. And for those of you that are familiar and did watch it, you'll know that I made a determination that she was and is a narcissist, and I explained in detail why that was. But then Amber Heard seemed to disappear. But the thing is with narcissists, they never fully go away. This is why I always explain to people that there is always a risk of you being hoovered. It's the extent of that risk which is what has to be ascertained. There are some that will say, oh, the narcissist will never return. Such an attitude is one of complacency and is likely to lead to you being hoovered with the detrimental consequences that arise from such an act. You should understand that the narcissist will attempt to come back at some juncture if able to do so. It might not happen for months, possibly even years. I once hoovered somebody after a 12-year gap. And therefore, whilst you don't have to be hyper-vigilant and always looking over your shoulder, it pays to ensure that the implementation of a no-contact regime with regard to a particular narcissist is indeed maintained by you, so that those potential hoovers don't occur. The narcissist may move on, be focused upon somebody else, and not have any interest in you. But when that new person enters a sustained evaluation, as they will, that invariably means that you as the immediate X shunt from being painted black to being painted white, which increases the risk that you will be hoovered. After all, the narcissist is familiar with you. You belong to the narcissist. You are a possession of the narcissist, and therefore the narcissist has that inalienable right to return and lay claim to you. Whether they do depends upon certain factors, many of which are generated by you, namely, how easy is it to come back into your life? Many people who don't realize they're dealing with a narcissist, or even where they do but remain afflicted by emotional thinking, fail to put in place a suitable no-contact regime, which means that whilst the narcissist was looking elsewhere, they thought that they were safe, and then all of a sudden, 6 months, 12 months later, they get a hoover from the narcissist. Invariably, it's benign in nature. It might be, oh, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, or Merry Christmas, or I was just passing, wondered how you were doing. And in some instances, that individual will inveigle their way back into the life of that victim. But what about Amber Heard? Has she been hoovering Johnny Depp? Well, there's certainly not been any reports that that's been taking place, and of course, he will have come upon her radar. He will have done so because she'll be aware of some of the things that he'll be doing, because it's been reported in the press. Other people will make mention of Johnny Depp to her. It might be in the context of speaking to her lawyers. It might be as a consequence of what some of her friends have said. It might be something that she sees on social media where somebody has supported her. And that then means that when Johnny Depp comes up on her radar, her narcissism in the subconscious asks, is Mr. Depp under control, yes or no? Or do we not have any information? Now, Amber Heard, as part of asserting control over the world, in effect, retreated from prominence. She decided that she would remove herself, and she moved to Spain. She chose what appeared to be a quieter life, away from the glare of publicity and the bright lights of Hollywood. This was done because her narcissism dictated that she needed to nullify the threat to control that was posed by her defeat in court, the continued coverage thereafter, and, of course, what might have been seen as the gloating of Depp's fans. All of that amounted to a threat to control. She did not have the resource, both in terms of energy, time, or money, to confront all of her detractors and persuade them that they should shut up. That was unfeasible. But all of those comments in mainstream media and social media threatened her need for control, and the most effective way for her to nullify those threats to control wasn't by doing so head-on. It wasn't even necessarily by complaining about it to her relevant confidant. Instead, it was simply to ignore it all and retreat so that she didn't have to see these threats to control any longer. And thus, she backed off and went to Spain. This wouldn't pose a problem for her with regard to fuel provision. She would still have friends that she would interact with and speak to and go and see. She would have people that she would engage with in relation to her new life in Spain. She would have family that she would be in contact with. She would still have professional advisors that she would interact with. And undoubtedly, she would keep an eye on certain aspects of social media for the purposes of just supportive comments. Thus, she would remain well-fueled, and even though she was no longer in the glare of Hollywood publicity, she would not have had a fuel crisis. Thus, once again, her narcissism had led her to pursue the prime aims. It nullified the threats to control by causing her to move to a position of withdrawal and retreating like a recluse to Spain. She was still able, through her fuel matrix, although it wasn't as expansive as it once was, to obtain fuel. She may well have been getting intimate partners as well. She is not an unattractive woman physically, and therefore undoubtedly would be able to draw in suitors if she so chose. Even though the trial and her behaviour received widespread coverage, the narcissist is always able to find somebody who is sympathetic to them, who wouldn't necessarily believe what has been stated. After all, when the narcissist is dealing with you, despite their reputation, there's always going to be one or more that will believe still what the narcissist has to say. How do you think it is, for instance, that certain people are drawn to those who are imprisoned and end up marrying them, despite them having perpetrated awful crimes? Never underestimate the ability and the suggestibility of human beings who remain open to being manipulated. Amber Heard may well have suffered reduced circumstances financially as a consequence of perhaps less work and also the financial repercussions of legal bills, etc., and will have had to cut her cloth accordingly, which will have been a threat to control, but she will have adjusted and thus nullified that threat. But remember, at the heart of it all, she remains a narcissist, and she still craves that fuel. And after a period of time, the narcissist still needs to be validated, to be witnessed, to be noticed. And even though a narcissist might retreat for a period of time, that retreat is never permanent. And it's been shown to be the case with Amber Heard, because her narcissism has shone through once again, as reported that she broke her silence with a rare post in honour of her 38th birthday just recently. In the picture she shared, a day after her birthday, she posed in a gold turtleneck with minimalist makeup as she sipped on champagne. "Champagne kind of birthday," she wrote alongside the photo. She posted last on social media 3 months prior, following the release of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The Texas-born star's online silence began in 2019, after her ex-husband Johnny Depp sued her for defamation over an op-ed she penned for the Washington Post. In the text published in December 2018, Amber Heard referred to herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse, though she didn't include a mention of her ex's name. In May 2016, she filed for divorce from Johnny Depp and filed a restraining order against him, claiming that the actor had subjected her to physical and verbal abuse throughout their relationship. Depp denied these allegations and agreed to a $7 million divorce settlement. The op-ed renewed drama between the exes, leading to a widely publicised 6-week trial in 2022. See parts passim. The jury ruled in favour of Mr. Depp, awarding him over $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages. Additionally, it awarded Amber Heard $2 million for a counterclaim that stemmed from a comment made by Depp's lawyer, which referred to Amber's allegations as a hoax. Since the defamation trial, Amber sold her home in the town of Yucca Valley, California, to move to Spain with her daughter Una Page, whom she had via surrogacy in April 2021, thus demonstrating the withdrawal from California and Hollywood and the various threats to control to move across the world to, in essence, keep her head down. She moved first of all to the island of Mallorca before settling down in the capital city of Madrid. Now, of course, being in a capital city still provides her with the opportunity to interact with plenty of people. It isn't as if she's living in a cave in the side of a mountain. A source explained that after losing the trial, she felt like a pariah. Pity play. In Spain, she's able to be just a mum. She's focused on raising her daughter. She spends every day with her girl. They stroll around, visit parks, and enjoy family time. Interestingly, she went by a different name. While resorting in Mallorca, she took the name Martha Jane Canary, which is the real name of American frontierswoman and sharpshooter Calamity Jane. Thus, the narcissist can't help but be the narcissist. She decides to utilize an alias, but plumps for one of another famous person, demonstrating her self-absorption. In June 2023, she starred in the independent thriller film In the Fire, which had been filmed before the defamation trial. In the movie, she plays Grace, an American psychiatrist who travels to a remote plantation in Colombia to help a boy believed to be possessed by the devil. The fact is that despite withdrawing to Spain in order to nullify the threats to control, she still reminds the world that she's here. She did so with the name change, which didn't make her anonymous, but instead highlighted her self-absorption by taking the name of Calamity Jane, character trait acquisition. She continues to post, albeit intermittently, on social media, and has done so again in relation to her birthday. Like all narcissists, she simply wouldn't go away and fade. She has that driver to compel her to seek out that fuel, to seek out recognition. That while she may not do so on the same scale as she once did, the urge and the desire to be recognized, the pursuit of fuel remains. And thus, as reported in numerous publications about her life in Spain, it's a case of, I want the quiet life, but actually, I still want you to know that I'm Amber Heard, and I'm still here. Thus, the narcissist always needs to ensure that you remember them. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.